Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news in the industry, and of course, stream for fun. Today we're doing Gaming News Consolidated. This is May 19th through the 25th. We're going to be talking a little bit about the next Fortnite update, which is actually already out. That came out on the 24th, yesterday? A little update with Total War. They make some pretty good PC games, but they got maybe a couple of new themes that they're going to be working on for new games, which I'm certainly excited about. I wanted to share that. Also, the next Call of Duty Black Ops 6. We're going to talk about that some. A little bit of an update for Arkane Austin and Redfall. We're going to talk too about XDefiant, how it's doing, how it's rated, and some things in the game, and even what some people don't like about it, which is interesting. We're also going to talk about Hellblade 2 a little bit. Both of my initial looks and reviews will be linked in the description below for XDefiant and Hellblade 2. And then we're also going to talk about the Arrowhead CEO, which is they made Helldivers 2. Something interesting with him that none of us expected. And then also we're going to talk about Space Marine 2. That's coming out in September, but we need to talk about the additions and something I'm extremely frustrated about. So thanks for tuning in, folks. You can always find me at Gaming Garbage 22 over at YouTube and also over at Twitch. Don't forget we have a Discord server as well, not just to chat and mingle, but also to find others to play with, regardless of game, regardless of platform. And we have those voice channels for you to be able to do the crossplay or whatever. So, okay, so Fortnite, since this is already out, they're getting a Fallout update. Fallout has been so successful, especially with the TV show, that with Chapter 5 Season 3, they're getting a season pass that is based off of Fallout. More or less, the Brotherhood of Steel armor is going to be a part of that. Probably some other things, too. And, yeah, Bethesda's making some good licensing money off of that, I'm sure, with Epic Games, along with Microsoft. And, yeah, this launched on the 24th. So there's likely to be some other Fallout items too. I don't play the game, so I haven't looked at it. But, one thing that Fortnite actually does really well as a live service, and why it's still been relevant for 10 years, is that they continue to actually have content. And they bring the content on a regular basis. And they also change up the maps. And I mean, we've seen John Wick, we've seen Peter Griffin, we've seen stuff from Star Wars, we've seen also random crap too, like animals and fruits and stuff, which is kind of fruity. But yeah, they are consistent with their stuff, and they work on improving balancing. They bring also new weapons and gear, and they've just been doing a good job. So they still have tens of millions of people that still play. It's still one of the most viewed games on Twitch, and yeah, it's just been doing a good job, and they're continue to do licensing. But eventually, you'd think, wouldn't they run out of stuff eventually? There's only so many things to license. Even though there's a lot of them, it's still limited. And so what are they going to do for the next, 5 or 10 years down the road while they're still trying to produce this game, which has made them a ton of money. It's made them billions of dollars over the last decade. But yeah, it's been consistent, and their servers have been good too. And, you're still, as far as I know, you're still able to actually work through the entire battle pass and just pay for the battle pass itself with the V-Bucks that you earn. And a lot of them, you're not able to do that now in different games. Even like Call of Duty, you used to be able to do that, but you can't do that today, not even close. And so, yeah, they're having Fallout stuff. And, in a few weeks, they'll have something else. Yeah, they've just, regardless, I hate live service games of just what it's become. I honestly blame Fortnite for kind of the start of it all, of where it's at today. But I can't deny that they've been successful. They are still going. Also, let's talk about Total War. So it looks like, now of course this is rumored, but they'll be looking at making a Star Wars themed Total War, which would be awesome. So this is a game where it's all real-time strategy, where you're able to get your units, build it up, and you got an economy, and you got all other stuff to advance and level up through with the technologies to get better and bigger units, and you amass and basically attack. And to have a Star Wars themed one would be so flippin' cool. That would be wonderful. Also, they have, even though it's not official, they are going to be making currently right now 3 games in development. And so this could also be possibly Lord of the Rings has been thrown around some, and also a Warhammer game. So Warhammer has been around for a while as real-time strategies, like Dawn of War. I played that one. That's how I got introduced to Warhammer. But Total War, they're going to be looking for more stuff and more themes to do or time periods. And it would be great if they could do actually some of these other ones, because generally speaking, they actually do a pretty dang good job. And so it'd be cool to see that. So let's get into Call of Duty Black Ops 6. So there's a lot of rumors surrounding this. I'm not necessarily into the rumors. I don't wish my channel to be like that. There's plenty of other channels like that, and I don't necessarily like being off of a maybe, but we will get into some of that a little bit. So one thing is it coming to Game Pass in November this year as a day one launch? Personally, I don't think so. There's been an internal debate at Microsoft, I guess, actually since they worked on buying it last year, of whether they should really bring it or not. And they make so much money. On average, most Call of Duty games have about 20 million units sold, which equates to $1.5 billion, maybe $3 billion, depending on what the price tag is and the different versions and all of that stuff. And of course, some sell better than others. But yeah, they make a lot of money every year just off of sales. And if they work on bringing that to Game Pass, well, they're going to lose out on some of those sales. And sales now are $70 a piece, at least starting. And it stays that price for quite some time, generally speaking. Every once in a while there's a game like Vanguard or Modern Warfare 3, the remake, that doesn't really sell that well, and within a month or a month and a half, they actually start having discounts already, because again, the sales just aren't there. So of course some do better than others, but like I remember Cold War actually stayed pretty expensive for quite a long time. So did Advanced Warfare, so did like Modern Warfare 2 and 3, the originals back in the 2000s. They actually retained their value pretty high for quite a while. Of course, until the next one comes out. But now that they're cranking these out every single year, and now Microsoft has them, of course they would bolster their sales for Game Pass, but how many months would they actually have to sell to equal the number of copies sold? Well, roughly, just having an estimate here, they'd have to sell 60 million months of Game Pass to equal the 20 million copies. Now, I know that sounds crazy, and again, this is just rough math, but to give you an idea, they'd have to sell 60 million months to break even, or to basically make the same amount of money, which is crazy. Now, of course, some people, like Sony, they don't have a choice. They have to buy the game. They don't have access to Game Pass. But people like on PC or people like on Xbox, instead they could buy a month or a few months, play the game, enjoy it, and then cancel their subscription, and that could ultimately be cheaper for them while they wait for the next game or just play some of the older CODs. But yeah, if they do bring it to Game Pass initially, for sure, they're probably going to lose some of that money on sales. And again, this doesn't include all the fancy additions. This doesn't include the microtransaction garbage, the bundles, the whatever. But it is something to think about, because of course they're all in basically on Game Pass, and they need to get those sales up. And I think it would be wise if they actually did bring pretty much everything to Game Pass, but that's all of their eggs in one basket too. And if they take their biggest selling franchise now, which is Call of Duty, and end up taking out some of those sales, that's going to be rough. That's kind of the same boat that PlayStation is in, is they don't want to do day one releases because they lose out so much money on God of War and Spider-Man and Horizon and The Last of Us. Those franchise of theirs, they do really, really well, and they make really good sales, even on PC. But yeah, again, with the day one, it's like you can either sell subscriptions or you can sell copies, and there is a way to actually do both. So if they work on launching the game separately away from Game Pass. They get all of the sales that they can out of that, let's say for 6 months, and then they bring it to Game Pass. And for those that want to pay a cheaper price or whatever, they can, pay for the Game Pass subscription and have it on Game Pass. And you'd get this two big influxes of people playing the game. You'd have the sweaties that want to start, that have been in it, that have to play it, right, that have to do the grinding of weapons and gear and etc. and get their golden guns. And so they would pay for it right away, right? Along with all of the Sony folks that don't have a choice. And then you'd have a new influx of folks coming in, let's say 6 months, that also haven't played the game. So people would probably want to come back that already played, as there's new fodder on the field. And then the people that wanted to wait, well, they're getting it now on Game Pass. And they're still continuing to pay for that subscription. And once you get onto a subscription, generally it's kind of hard to get off because you get used to it. Okay, there's plenty of other things to play on there too besides just Microsoft stuff or Xbox stuff. There's other third-party things too, like Pal World, for example. And so people get excited for that, and there's plenty of things to play. The service now has almost 500 games, and granted, not all of them we would like to play, right? But there's probably something for everybody on there, and that's the point. And things that aren't played, they take off, and new things come on, every week, pretty much. Every week or every other week. They do it pretty quickly. But yeah, the day one stuff, it gets expensive if they bring it on Game Pass, because they don't make the unit sales that they normally maybe would for that particular game. So we'll see what they do. Personally, I don't think they're going to bring it to Game Pass this time. It would make sense, though, if they actually brought the older CODs to Game Pass, since the servers are all running and they're actually fairly stable for the most part. They're not perfect, but they would also have to increase the server size if they brought it all to Game Pass. And yeah, people would play it, we would certainly invite you guys to come play with us. But there's a few other ways that they could do this, too. They could make it a day one launch and also raise the price of Game Pass, let's say to $20 a month. Now we're spending $240 a year. And if you remove the multiplayer cost of $60 a year, now you're paying $180 to play Game Pass, which is roughly the cost of 2.5 games. Games are $70, and so you're about $30 away from another full video game. They could do special cosmetics as well for Game Pass subscribers, only for them. So whether you're on PC or whether you're on Xbox, maybe there's some DLC, maybe there's some cosmetic packs that you get for being a subscriber. They could certainly do that. They could also still have the early access editions for the game at $100, and so you could either wait 3 or 4 or 5 days and get it on Game Pass if they did launch it, or you could still pay the $100 edition to get early access. And there's a lot of other things that they could do. But yeah, no matter what, the older CODs, in my opinion, all the way back to World at War, should be on Game Pass. And all of the Sony players would still have to pay $70 at launch, or wait for a sale, which would probably be a few months with how Call of Duty has been going. But yeah, no matter, Microsoft really has to make this count. Whatever they do decide, they have to do it well, and they have to execute it well, because they are in some super hot water with a lot of us folks now. It's all over the internet with what they've been doing, and so they can't mess this up. So we'll see what they do. My theory is they don't bring it as a day one launch. But if they do, if all of their eggs are on Game Pass, they got to go all out and make it work. Otherwise, half-assing it just is not going to work, and it's not going to bring the money that they want. And they might have to close more studios. They might have to do more layoffs, because ultimately Microsoft is the one that controls the Xbox side of things. And that's why I think those 4 studios were closed in the first place. I don't think that was necessarily an Xbox decision. I think that was a Microsoft decision over Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond, and so I don't think they had a choice. Maybe had a choice of who to let go, but yeah, Tango Gameworks, man, I feel brutal for those people. And Arkane Austin, that was a bummer too. Which gets me into the next thing. We found out there is actually going to be one last update for Redfall. They're going to add an offline mode. Now, do I ever want to go back to Redfall? No. I really don't. But I do think it's important that with the games that we've purchased, we always have access to them, even if they are digital, because we're not buying them as a service, we're buying them as a product. And the product can't be taken away from you for a limited time. Just like what Ubisoft did with The Crew 1. I don't think that should be doable. I think the game should always be available, so it's nice for having that offline mode, because we're going to want to go back, we're going to want to remember, oh yeah, Redfall. That was a bad one. Let's not do that again. And we need that type of, memory retention in the gaming industry so we can continue to make good games. Some of the employees are going to be going to other studios. We did talk about that. Maybe actually more than we initially thought, but the rest will still be laid off. According to the warning system in Texas, 96 will actually be laid off, and the rest are going to go to other studios to help with other projects. So we still don't know exactly how many people are actually working at the studio. When you look at Arkane on LinkedIn, there's about 300 employees there, but that's also between Leon, sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, and then also Austin as well. So we don't know exactly where the split is, but roughly we can say probably most of the people at Arkane Austin are being let go, and maybe about a quarter or a third are being kept. And good luck to those that gotta find another job. That sucks. Let's see. Also, too, I did want to talk a little bit more about Call of Duty Black Ops 6. We are going to find out more on the June 9th showcase. There are, again, a lot of rumors around the game, but if you're interested to look into some stuff, there is a website, thetruthlies.com. That is Lies. And if I can remember, I'll link that down in the description. But yeah, the Truth Lies has some stuff in there, some teasers, some hints to what the game is going to be about, locations, characters, maybe the plot too, and it looks like there is going to be some element of 9/11 in the game. Now, if it does have some element of 9/11, well, it's not going to include the Gulf War. Maybe that'll be a little bit of the epilogue or something, or that might be referenced to in some dialogue or something. But yeah, this is not going to be a Gulf War game. This is going to be more centered around the Iraq and Afghan War, and a little bit of Pakistan as well. And that's going to be very interesting. Now, 9/11 was a really big thing for me. That was a huge changing moment in my life, even though I was 3,000 miles away. That deeply affected me, and so I definitely want to play the campaign at some point for myself, so that I can just kind of, in a way, have closure with what happened. And it's not really talked about today. Again, it was like almost 25 years ago. I get it. But yeah, 9/11 was a huge deal, and it didn't just change us, it changed the world on how we do business, how we do travel, all of that stuff, including still having some of the sanctions today that affect world trade. One key location is also going to be Mount Rushmore, so that's going to be playing in with the story, and I'm excited for this. Am I $70 excited? No. Am I $60 excited? No. But if it does come on Game Pass day one, I'm certainly going to be playing it for you guys for the whole campaign, where we'll take a look at options, what multiplayer is like, etc. But yeah, I'm definitely going to play it if it's on Game Pass at some point. If it's not on Game Pass, okay, I'll wait for a sale, or I'll wait for a used copy to show up at GameStop. Okay, I'll play it for a week, and then I'll give it back and get my money back. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. Also, the Arrowhead CEO is stepping down, which is crazy. So we really like this guy. This CEO has done a great job of basically painting Sony with the whole PSN account thing for PC, of being like, hey, it's not us, folks. It's them. And two, just guiding the company and the devs in creating the game that they've made. Again, they didn't expect this to be very big, maybe about 40,000, 50,000 people total. And again, it was like, I mean, they maxed out at almost 500,000 people, and there were way more wanting to play at the time, and they just didn't have the server space. So it has curtailed off, of course. I wouldn't say there's a lot of variety in the gameplay, but there's been a whole community built around it. There's still people playing today. It's had good retention, generally speaking, and yeah, he's going to be stepping down. But it is good news. He's going to be replacing the CEO position with someone he personally knows and feels that the company will be in good hands. And then he is going to become the creative director lead so that he can work more closely with the devs to continue to work on the game and improve the game. And he's all very focused on social media, updating people, answering questions, like working on rebalancing, working on creating new stuff for the game, and wanting to continue to create this as a good live service game. And he's just got a passion for it, and we need more companies where people are allowed to have their passions shine and continue to allow them to produce the game, because the money will come. And I wish the other publishers would figure that out. So yeah, this is very good news. He probably just doesn't really fit in the CEO thing. Again, this game was way bigger than it was supposed to be, and there's also been a lot of other stuff that is, stuff has shite the fan. And it's just been a total mess, and so it was probably way bigger responsibility than what he was anticipating. And, oh man, being responsible for something that big would not be fun. I wouldn't want to do it, folks. If it was my own company, sure, but I'm sure he's had enough of his fill of being the CEO, and that's just not where his passion or drive is. And he'd be better suited as the creative lead for the game, so I think that's great. So yeah, we'll probably continue to have better things coming to Helldivers 2. Stay tuned for that. Oh, let's see. I guess too, let's see, let's talk about XDefiant, and we'll get to Hellblade 2 after that. So XDefiant has a split view on the game. Right now on Metacritic, it has not technically been tested by official critics, but the user score is right in the middle at a 5.3. And so people either love the game or hate the game. There's a little bit in the middle, but let's dig into some of this. So the launch was rough for a few hours with servers. Okay, people couldn't play, myself included. I got on the tail end of that, but eventually I was able to get into some servers. And once word got around, it is actually quite quick to get into a match, which is nice. Man, the launch has been good. Something for sure is that there needs to be more maps, and there needs to be more weapons. And the grind for the weapons is quite long. I've played quite a few hours, and as you can see, I'm only on level 8 of my M4, and I haven't grinded any other weapons. That's basically been it. And the grind is quite slow. So they are going to have boosters. This is actually a booster weekend for Memorial Weekend, if for those of you that are interested or want to play. But the game is free, and it, the devs, they do have free reign of all of the IPs and franchises that Ubisoft has. So we'll probably see more factions later, more skins or bundles or whatever. Okay, it is definitely a live service game. But it's free, and it's 30 gigs or 35 gigs, depending on what you're playing on. It's a very small file size, and the gunplay actually feels fair. I wouldn't say it feels good. It definitely feels different than Call of Duty, but it is definitely fair, and it feels nice. And so you kind of have to take some time to learn how to play, learn the maps, which doesn't take very long to learn the maps because you see them so often. But yeah, the game does feel pretty good. And I don't feel totally cheated all the time. They do have some anti-cheat, looking for cheaters all the time, or hackers. But yeah, the game does feel fair, and I really enjoy that. And the biggest thing is there's no skill-based matchmaking, which is huge, at least for the casual play. If you want to do ranked, okay, there's some limited skill-based matching over there so that you can, rank up and see where you are among everybody else. But the casual side of the game, unranked, it's not there, and it just feels nice. You just hop in. Sometimes you have good games, sometimes you have bad ones, but you never feel like you totally got screwed over when you get killed. Also, the movement is slowed, and the tactics matter, and so there's no double sprinting. Okay, you basically have a jog, and that's what you got. And it reminds me of a game way back when on the 360 and PlayStation 3, released in 2011, called The Brink. It's very much the same. It was like 5 on 5, I think, I want to say. And two, it plays very much like Overwatch gameplay. So if you guys haven't tried it, I would suggest at least try it and give it a little bit. Again, small file size, it's free. This is not some promotional whatever. This is just me giving the news, and I have greatly enjoyed the game. I definitely suck at it, and so I gotta get better. But yeah, the game complements those that can aim and use tactics and use cover and also work as a team and play. The objective is back in the game. This is not just running around the corner, half your team wanting to get as many kills as possible. It's basically focused on the objective, and most of the community plays that way, which is wonderful. And so that's why I like the game. That's why a lot of other people like the game too. The folks that hate it seem to be the Call of Duty players. They complain about lag. They complain about getting killed. I've even heard of a couple that have rage quit on my team because, where's my team? Where's my team? Because they're so used to playing by themselves, they're not aware of where everyone else is, and so they're way ahead of where the rest of the team, and they're all out there by themselves, and yeah, they get killed, of course. And so they don't use tactics. They're not patient. You know, they're used to the aim assist, which the aim assist in the game is actually very limited. And they can't use their normal movement tricks like jumping and sliding. It doesn't work as well. It can work, but it's definitely not like Call of Duty. Again, it feels a lot more fair. And the person that shoots first usually wins. No more of that BS of just getting the first shots on and they're able to whip around and just perfect headshots and you're dead. That stuff's basically gone. And yeah, with the aim assist being minimal, you actually really have to aim. You can't just have the game do it for you, and I think that's what these Call of Duty players are struggling with, is that the aim assist is so extreme in Call of Duty, they think they're good at it. And with the skill-based matchmaking, they don't know they suck, because they always stay around. The game is always catered to them to make them feel like they're winning, but they're not winning too much. And so the skill-based matchmaking tries to keep them in a certain parameter, and they don't think they're amazing maybe, but they still think they're pretty good because they still get kills, or kill-death ratio is in a certain range. But we know that Call of Duty really screws with that. If you're curious, I got a I got a patent video for Activision actually on how their skill-based matchmaking works. And what I appreciate about the main project lead working on XDefiant is he's straight up said that skill-based matchmaking is garbage, that he doesn't want it in his game. He wants to keep it as minimal as possible for ranked, and he just wants the game to be fun again. And that's what I've experienced. It feels like the old COD multiplayers like World at War or Black Ops 2 or Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare. It's just been fun to play the game again and to not feel cheated. And, I see honestly that those that are tired of COD, I can see them moving to XDefiant, and I'm seeing that on channels. I'm seeing that with other players. And the Call of Duty folks that need the aim assist and that can't aim worth beans without it, they're going to stick to Warzone, and the sweaties are going to stay over there. Or those that also have spent hundreds or even thousands of dollars and buy all the black cell BS, whatever. If you like Call of Duty, okay, stick with Call of Duty. For those of you that are tired of it, maybe try XDefiant. That's why I have it here on the screen, is because I think it's a great alternative. So, but yeah, the biggest takeaways is that it's fun. It's free. It's simple gunplay and team tactics. It's a 30 to 35 gigabyte file size, and the game is made in 1080p, not 4K. And so this makes it cheaper to make, cheaper to maintain, cheaper to run on servers. It also makes the servers more stable across all tiers of internet speeds for everybody, and it's also easier to add content. And so the financial stability of the game is definitely there, even with it just being in 1080p and then having free range of all of the IPs that Ubisoft has. There's a whole bunch that they can pull from. So this is just pre-season right now. We're going to get more stuff, and actually a pretty big update with Season 1. And yeah, it's been a great game to play and have fun. So definitely take some time to check it out. So, let's get into Hellblade 2. I also have I have an initial look for XDefiant, link in the description, but I also have a review, too, of Hellblade 2. And I gotta say that Hellblade 2 doesn't feel like a game to me. Now let me preface this. I didn't play the first one, and I did not beat Hellblade 2, but I definitely got through most of it. I'd say somewhere between 65-70%, but again, I don't feel like I need to actually play the entire thing to have a beef with it. So right now on Metacritic, it's actually rated pretty high. It's got an 8.1 for like official critics, and then user score is 7.5. Visually, it's beautiful. It really is. The thing that's frustrating is that a lot of stuff is blurry. There's almost no sharp definition in the picture, especially the cinematics. And that gets kind of frustrating. I almost feel like I need my eyes checked, and nope, it's just how it's made. The filters that they have for the game. The audio, too, is really good. Okay, it does a pretty good job with immersiveness. It does pretty good with, and it sounds clear and crisp, and it adds some elements to the game, which is great. And it's it's a fun experience to watch. But the combat is few and far between. It's also very simple. It's a lot like Callisto Protocol, where you just, swing, dodge, block, swing. That's basically the combat right there. And then also, you don't get to do a lot of it. There's basically, 4 sections in the game where you get to do that. And the combat, too, is very simple. There's just not a lot of variability, so it's not very challenging. And then the game on top of it also gives you something to be able to give you a last chance if you need it. Just in case, that basically stuns the enemy, and then you can just hack and slash away, baby, and win every single freaking time. It just is kind of a bummer. There's almost like no risk there. The game itself is about 4 to 5 hours, depending on how you play. Some people are saying that they played, 8 hours or 9 hours, and they probably looked for all of the little trees and all of the little symbols and stuff. But, if you're not really into that, you're cutting out a ton of time. Let me tell you. There's also not a lot of room to move around. Again, it's a cinematic experience. It does look good. The audio is great. The voice acting is wonderful. But this just does not feel like a $50 game. It feels like it's too expensive for that. Especially when you account for, with the reviews I've been watching and reading, is that people see, hey, Hellblade 1 had all of this stuff, and we have less of that in almost every aspect in Hellblade 2. And then we went from $30 to $50. And it doesn't feel like it's worth $50. And also, the game is shorter than the last one. And the whole thing from the developer, Ninja Theory, of 8-hour gameplay, most people aren't hitting that. It's just something is amiss there. Also, too, the puzzles are bad. I can't even say that they're puzzles. You basically walk around and you're kind of in a mirror dimension, so you flip stuff around and then you put stuff in a hole on a pedestal. Woohoo! I mean, it's not very exciting. The budget around this game, too, was actually quite a bit more expensive. With all the stuff I can find, the estimates are somewhere between 20 and 25 million. The previous game was about 15 million. And so at today's prices, if everything was sold at $50, they would need to sell 500,000 copies, 500,000 units, or they would need to sell 1 million months of Game Pass. I'm not even kidding. 1 million months of Game Pass is what they would need. I do worry about Ninja Theory, though. Can they make enough sales? Can they make enough money? Otherwise, Ninja Theory might be in trouble down the road, just like the other 4 studios that we already lost. Now, we do know that Ninja Theory is working on 2 current projects. They've been greenlit by Microsoft, and they're a go. They're working on them. And so I can't see that Microsoft is going to kibosh them. But if those projects also don't do well, or don't bring in the money or the subscriptions that they're looking for, maybe Ninja Theory is next. And we also got to remember this for like Obsidian and other studios too. It's like their performance has to be there, the revenue has to be coming in. And you either bring subscriptions to Game Pass, or you actually make unit sales. Now, of course, there can be a mixture of both, but there has to be enough money coming in to support you as a studio, and if that's not the case, then yeah, eventually you're going to get axed. So I do have a podcast review in the link in the description, so you can listen to that too. I wasn't able to stream the game, which was actually quite frustrating. I'm going to wait a few more days and see if I can actually stream it and show you what I'm talking about, and I'll narrate as I'm playing. But oh god, it is a brutal game to get through, folks. If you're into Hellblade 2, I would suggest, yes, play it once, okay? And enjoy it for what it is. Maybe you'll enjoy it a lot more. Some people do, but boy, I just couldn't. So the last thing is Space Marine 2. I'm excited for this. This is coming out in September, but Space Marine 2 is going microtransaction live service. I know. I'm not excited about this. So we're going to be able to customize our characters, customize our classes and our weapons, which is great. We're going to have 6 classes to choose from, and then you can tweak stuff. And then also we're going to be able to customize our helms, our graves, our gauntlets, decals, colors, all of that stuff. And then the season pass is going to add more customization. So we have that to look forward to. So the best looking stuff is of course going to be in the season pass until they run out of ideas. And then we're going to get to the, the fruit and the animals and all of that kind of stuff. You can be a kitty or whatever, or you can be like some hot pink red maybe, or, fuchsia, maroon, or puce. Do you even know what that color is? Probably not. But so I'm not overly excited about this because, yeah, the first one was pretty good. It just wasn't long enough. But oh god, I do not want Space Marine 2 to be live service. I really don't. I also don't want the dev time of making it a live service, microtransactions in a season pass, taking away from the development of the game. I want the game to be the game, okay, in its entirety. That's what I want. We all also going to have 3 editions. There's going to be the standard of $70, and if you pre-order, you get a small piece of DLC. Congratulations. The gold edition is going to be $100, which I might actually grab this because it comes with a season pass, or excuse me, the steel book. I'd actually really love the steel book. That would be cool. Yeah, probably not for $100. I'll probably wait for it to show up maybe on like eBay or something. But anyway, it comes with a steel book. Which looks pretty sweet, and then it's the complete season pass, probably the first season, okay? And then also 3 days early access. This was initially 4, but now it's 3. And why they changed it, I don't know. But if early access is going to be September 6th, and the official, quote, release date is going to be the 9th. The Ultra Super Fancy COVID Edition is going to be $110, and again, you get all of that extra stuff, plus a $10 cosmetic pack. Woohoo! That's great. I have heard of a collector's edition, but I think this is going to be quite limited, and it's a little sketchy if it's still there or not. But this is going to be $250, and then you're going to get a little statue, which is about 8 inches. I was kind of surprised how short it is. And unfortunately, too, it's not even an entirely full stature of a Space Marine. It's basically from his waist up, which is frustrating. And then you also get a 172-page art book. So that might be kind of cool. But boy, this is quite frustrating because Saber is now owned by Beacon Entertainment, but Saber is, maybe Embracer Group was having Saber kind of shift a little bit into live service. And I was thinking, it's like, okay, I don't think they've ever made live service before like this. And I don't think it's an entirely full live service, not like Call of Duty or something like that, but, this is going to have a season pass. But this is like their first true season pass game with cosmetics and stuff. Now, they have made Insurgency Sandstorm, okay? That probably had a season pass or whatever, but that was designed that way, okay? That was a free-to-play game, if I remember right, that people could hop into, or maybe it was kind of a cheaper game that you could get, no $70. But yeah, that was a live service game a little bit. And then we also had Mud Runner and Snow Runner, right? And Expeditions, which had a year pass, but usually that was other vehicles, other trucks, other transportation stuff, other gear, whatever. And so that actually seemed worth it because there's utility there in the game. You're actually getting something of value that you can utilize in the game instead of just colors and decals and that kind of garbage. But yeah, they weren't cosmetics. We actually got vehicles. But this is the first time that I could think through, looking back over the last 2 years, that this is the first real kind of game they've turned more toward live service. And that makes me really sad. Something that is cool, Space Marine 2 will have a 3-player co-op. So that's actually kind of sweet. Wasn't expecting that. And then we're also going to have a PvP element of 6 versus 6. This is going to be Space Marines versus Chaos. So something else too, just a couple more things. The Ultra version, if you do want that, is going to be digital only. You can't get it through GameStop. You can't get it through Fred Meyer, Target, Best Buy. You can't get it that way. You have to buy it directly through your platform that you play on, whether that's Steam or whether that's PlayStation or Xbox. Also, if you want the collector's edition for $250, it looks like it's only through Focus Entertainment's website, so you have to order it from them. So let me check real quick. I think I got through everything. I think I did. Okay. So, hey, thanks for tuning in, folks. You can always follow me, too, at GamingGarbage22 on YouTube. And also, Don't Tread on Thee on Twitch. Don't forget about our Discord server. Link in the description. Don't also forget, if you're interested, to look at the XDefiant initial look that I have and Hellblade 2 review. Those will be down below. And then, too, if I can, if Twitch will let me, I will actually stream Hellblade 2 for you guys. It's short enough. I think I can do that, at least in parts. Before the Elden Ring DLC comes out later next month. We'll be doing that too. Lion and I are still going to try to finish the Ghost Recon Wildlands. We're actually pretty close. I think we got 7 bosses left in the game, in the cartel, and then we're done. And yeah, hopefully you guys are doing well. You know, it's a brutal struggle for everybody. Whether it's financial, whether it's mental, whatever. Just work on taking care of yourselves, guys. Make sure you're getting good sleep, making sure you're eating right, and even though things are stressful, make sure you take time to have fun. So if you're playing Call of Duty, quit playing, because it's not fun, right, folks? Just kidding. If you enjoy Call of Duty, go for it. But yeah, spend time, you know, make some friends, hang with friends, okay? Find folks to play with, and, you know, relationships are really what's worth living for. Okay, it's not your gold gun and COD. So, with that, folks, hopefully you guys are doing well. And if you're not, hey, tune into the channel. You can rest here. And with that, I'll see you on the next one.